The death of these teenagers in the Eastern Cape has also cast a spotlight on the underage drinking. Now, according to government, the ages of those who died is between 13 and 17. And as we hear that Ntimane, for example, is the youngest victim here. So should South Africa look at changing the legal drinking age from 18 to 21? Let's have this conversation now with Maurice Smithers, who is the director of the Southern African Alcohol Policy Alliance, joining us virtually. And in studio, we've got Ntimane, who is the National Liquor Traders Council National Convener. Thank you so much to you both for your time. I'll begin with you, Lucky. There's been quite a lot that has been happening in terms of developments around this story. And we're now hearing that there's now a criminal charge that has been laid against the tavern owner for underage drinking. Your reaction to that?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. But firstly, let me take this time to send our heartfelt condolences to the families who have lost their loved ones in this wholly preventable incident that should not have taken place. We never thought that in a million years we'll talk about a 13-year-old in a tavern in one sentence. This really breaks our heart. It should not have happened at all. And we support the move taken by the Liquor Board in the Eastern Cape, not only to suspend the liquor license, but also to lay criminal charge, because we view what just happened there as actually a massacre, because these are the actions of the liquor trader who put the profits ahead of the lives of our people.
And it's a very difficult story, especially when you really think about what the parents are going through. I would like to bring you in then, Maurice, because a number of people have been saying that looking at the fact that the Act says that, the age is 18, but some are saying it should be, moved to 21. Your thoughts?
Thank you very much. And again, I'd like to echo Lucky's sentiments about giving our condolences to the family, to the families of and the community. In fact, the entire community surrounding where the tavern is. Look, what you should know is that in 2016, Cabinet approved a new national liquor policy, which actually recommends raising the age from 18 to 21. And in 2016 as well, the Liquor Amendment Bill, which was drafted by the Department of Trade and Industry at that time, in fact, said that the age must go up from 18 to 21. So had that bill been passed between 2016 and now, we would in fact be sitting with a legalized age of 21. So, and we 100% support that. But I just have to say that changing the legal drinking age to 21 is not actually going to make a difference unless we address a whole lot of other issues. Because the question one has to ask is, why do 13, 14, 15-year-old kids end up believing that if they want to go and celebrate the beginning of the school holidays, that the way to do that is in a pub? And for us, that's a lot to do with advertising, with peer pressure, and with adult modeling. It's also to do with the proliferation of liquor outlets across the country. It's to do with the entire way in which the whole liquor industry is managed or not managed, actually, in the country. And unless we look at the issue holistically, and we look at all the different aspects of our society that drive kids towards drinking at this early age, I'm afraid changing the age to 21 is just not going to be enough. There's a whole lot more that's got to go along with that.
And at the same time, listening to what Maurice has to say, Lucky, because when one goes through, the actual act, there's also the responsibility on the side of the minor to not fake, their own age. But at the same time, the liquor trader themselves must also be able to establish the age. How then does one begin to deal with this one? Because we're listening to Maurice, there's clearly a lot of loopholes between the implementation and what the legislation says.
There's definitely a lot of loopholes, but we feel that liquor traders should be able to take that responsibility, because once you apply for a liquor license, you know that you will be dealing with customers that are coming into your premises. So the onus rests with the liquor trader to be able to check for validity of the identification of the people that are coming into the establishment. If you have a reasonable apprehension that a person coming into outlet is not of the right legal age to be drinking alcohol, you should be able to chuck those people out. But if we look at Ntimane in the Eastern Cape, that was allowed to happen. Minors were allowed to get into the establishment. And I need to be the first to admit this from the alcohol industry side, that we know that the issue of underage drinking is rife in South Africa. It is not just restricted to Ntimane. And we need to be able to come together with civil society, with structures like SAPA, for example, and be able to address this. We cannot allow a situation where our kids feel that the best place to relax or to have fun is in a tavern. There need to be other factors that need to be taken into consideration for them to consider other matters that will make them feel like kids and not alcohol. Alcohol is not for kids.
And Lucky, how do you begin to address that at a practical level? And I ask you because when you listen to the stories coming out from, Ntimane, you can tell that this has been allowed to go on for quite some time. And they were aware, some of the parents, community members, that this is what is happening there. And only now to find, oneself in the situation when we deal with the tragedy. So what does the addressing of this look like for communities that maybe are not dealing with such consequences, but still do have the problem of underage drinking?
We know that Ntimane, for example, was reported twice to relevant authorities, but no action was taken. It is not a time to point fingers, but we're saying that, our community, society should be able to have confidence in our system, in the processes, that if they report an outlet for non-compliance, that action will be taken. And we are saying to law enforcement officials across the country and to all the liquor boards that we as the liquor traders and certainly as the alcohol industry, we do not support any outlet that trades outside the perimeters of the permits of the liquor license. And we are saying that any liquor trader that operates and not obliged with the regulations should be closed down. We cannot have a situation in the country where we burden the police services with having to deal with misbehaving outlets. Those who have no role to play in any space in society, those should be closed down.
Now, Maurice, is it also a case of a free-for-all when it comes to the issuing of licenses?
Well, it is to a large extent, but it's also to do with the fact that communities are disempowered. You were talking just now, and Lucky was talking about the fact that people have actually complained about this particular outlet before and haven't been heard, despite the fact that the Eastern Cape Liquor Board has said that they haven't received any complaints. But, if you go to the website of the Eastern Cape Liquor Board, and I must congratulate the Liquor Board at least for having a website, because in Gauteng, the Gauteng Liquor Board doesn't even have a website at all. But if you go to the website of the Eastern Cape Liquor Board, the only information you will find there is information on how to apply for a liquor license. You won't find anything that is telling ordinary citizens in communities about the fact that if somebody applies for a liquor license, that they can object to that liquor license. You won't find anything that explains to people the procedure to follow if there is a licensed outlet that is behaving in an antisocial way and causing disruptions in the community, and what they can expect the liquor board to do. So actually, Lucky says we shouldn't be pointing fingers. I think we should. The reality is that provincial government and national government, to an extent, have this mandated responsibility to protect the public from the social harms created by alcohol. And they also have a constitutional responsibility for empowering citizens to be able to engage in matters of government. And they are not doing that. And so our experience is that if you go into communities across the country, they feel completely disempowered. Their lives are being disrupted. Their lives are at threat. Women are at threat from because of gender-based violence. Kids are under threat. Lives are disrupted by noise that goes on the whole night, and people simply have no recourse. So we need to point fingers, and we need to say this is a national problem and that it needs to be addressed at a national level. We are in the process, actually, of calling for a meeting between the president and civil society to engage on this particular issue and to say that this cannot continue. We cannot continue for society to be held hostage to what is happening through the actions of traders and some consumers of alcohol who actually have no regard for people around them. And this despite everything that we learned under COVID, because right throughout COVID was made clear to everyone that we do have a problem. But it seems like since COVID is no longer an issue, government is no longer talking about dealing with alcohol issues anymore. Now they're talking about rebuilding the economy and so on. And so this issue is falling off the table. So we are very, very concerned that, I mean, this was a long time coming. And our concern, if we don't address it now, the whole hullabaloo around it will die down in 2 to 3 weeks' time. And then we'll just go back to normal and nothing will change. And we are not prepared to accept that. Our slogan this year is we are tired of waiting, and we are going to be acting on that slogan.
Lucky, you're listening to Maurice there, really saying that it is time for traders to do differently and be able to also educate the communities about their own, power and their own rights in this particular case. I wonder, how do you respond to that?
We share the same sentiments with Maurice. Ours is to really have the alcohol industry that takes care of its not only traders, but its consumers and communities at large. We want to see a society where people are able to make decisions, informed decisions to consume alcohol without any undue pressure from outside forces. But we also support Maurice's take that we need to have an engagement around the social issues that give rise to alcohol abuse in our country. I think we've managed to avoid this issue and put it under the carpet for a long time. We need to be able to engage so that we can find a long, sustainable solution that will be able to address the issue of alcohol abuse in our country, because it is a problem.
And in 10 seconds, how then do you support those families now, in order to ensure that they also are able to pick up somewhat of their pieces? We view ourselves as having a responsibility in this matter. And in that regard, we have sent to each and every family that has been affected by this tragedy 2,500 to contribute towards their grocery for the funeral. All right, let me leave it there with you for now. And Maurice, as you say, there's got to be serious changes that are made there. It can't just be the noise and then it dies down. Let's see if anything happens when it comes to really empowering communities, because that is where, the heart of this matter lies. Let me thank you both. Maurice Smithers is the director of the Southern African Alcohol Policy Alliance in South Africa, and Ntimane, national convener of the South African National Liquor Traders Council.